All right, let's jump right into it. Today's explainer is tackling something that has literally kept every developer, data scientist, and automation engineer awake at night: CAPTCHAs. We're going to completely demystify the black box of bot detection so you can build truly resilient automation. We'll be looking closely at the architecture of these systems, drawing from deep technical insights on how modern detection actually works in the wild.
Look, a CAPTCHA isn't just a roadblock. It's a signal. It's telling you your workflow looks risky. Think about it. When a scraper hits a wall, we usually ask, did the solver work? Or was the proxy bad? But we need a major paradigm shift here. I want you to start thinking of your automated workflow as a car. And that CAPTCHA? That's your diagnostic check engine light flashing. It is telling you something critical about your underlying systems.
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for this explainer. 1. The CAPTCHA signal. 2. Basic layers like IPs and headers. 3. Deep inspection and tracking behavior. 4. How scoring systems work. And 5. Our reality check with CAPTCHA FAQs.
Section 1. The CAPTCHA signal, shifting from solving to diagnosing.
So, why did this workflow trigger detection in the first place? That's the million-dollar question, right? Like I said earlier, just asking if the proxy was bad totally misses the bigger picture. Maybe your request volume spiked. Maybe your headers were completely inconsistent. Maybe cookies were missing, or your session looked brand new every single time. Or maybe your browser fingerprint was just incredibly weak. It's rarely just one thing. It's a combination of signals crossing a threshold, and we have to figure out why that alarm went off.
Now, what's absolutely crucial here is having a practical diagnostic checklist. Step 1. Map your detection surface. Before you even think about scaling, list out what your workflow exposes: domains, rates, headers, and cookies. Step 2. Separate prevention from handling. Prevention is reducing those triggers up front with better pacing. Handling is what you do when you actually get challenged. You need both. Step 3. Monitor your behavior before scaling. A script hitting 100 requests fine could totally crash and burn at 10,000. Step 4 is making your retry logic detection aware. And Step 5, track CAPTCHA events as real operational signals. Don't just log that it happened, track the actual rate and your ultimate success.
Section 2. Basic layers, IPs and headers. Inspecting the foundational signals.
Let's look at layer 1, the absolute low-hanging fruit: IP-based detection. This is the simplest trigger. If you're blasting more than 20 to 30 requests a minute from a single IP, you're going to hit a rate limit or a CAPTCHA. Push over a few hundred an hour? That's a temporary block for sure. And obviously, if your IP reputation screams data center instead of a normal residential network, you get an immediate challenge. You absolutely have to pace your requests and rotate those proxies to survive this layer.
Then we step up to layer 2, HTTP header analysis. Servers are scrutinizing your headers incredibly closely. If you leave the default user agent from your scraping library in there, you are instantly flagged, no questions asked. Missing essential headers? Boom, the server assumes you're a bot. Requesting deep internal pages without a referrer header? Super suspicious. And crucially, if you don't have session cookies, the server thinks you're either a totally new visitor or an automated script. Neither looks good.
Section 3. Deep inspection, tracking behavior. The invisible traps of bot detection.
Let's move to layer 3 and see how this builds into the invisible traps. This is JavaScript fingerprinting. Modern sites aren't just taking your word for it based on your headers, they verify. Behind the scenes, these anti-bot services are running scripts to profile your browser's environment. They're checking your hardware concurrency, your canvas rendering, what fonts you have installed. They do all this to compute a trust score, literally verifying if you're a real human or just a headless browser pretending to be one. And this brilliantly illustrates layer 4, behavioral analysis. Think about human behavior. It's super messy and organic, right? We scroll randomly, we pause, our mouse wiggles, we literally never click the exact same pixel twice. Bot behavior is the exact opposite. It is rigid. Bots access pages in perfect sequence, load them in exact milliseconds, generate 0 mouse events, and click exact coordinates. Advanced systems are tracking this over time, and that rigidity is exactly what catches you. Which brings us to layer 5, cookie and session tracking. Sites plant tracking cookies to identify returning visitors, and honestly, ignoring missing cookies is one of the most common mistakes developers make. If your scraper drops its session and spins up a brand new one for every single request, that screams automation to the server. Repeatedly hitting deep pages without any established session history is a massive red flag that shoots your suspicion score straight through the roof.
Section 4. How scoring systems work, the arbiters of detection.
So how do they synthesize all this? Let's look at the reCAPTCHA v3 scoring system. This thing runs completely invisibly in the background. It grabs your JavaScript environment, your mouse patterns, historical Google cookies, your IP reputation, and it boils all of that down into a definitive score from 0 to 1.0. If you get a 0.7 to 1.0, you're likely human, come on in. 0.3 to 0.7, uncertain territory, you might get tested.
But 0.3, that is the magic number. If your workflow drops to a 0.3 or below, the system basically says, yep, that's a bot. At that point, you're either getting hard blocked or you're getting hit with a visible challenge, like a reCAPTCHA puzzle, to force you to prove you're actually human.
Cloudflare uses a really similar methodical sequence for its bot management. First, they might throw a silent JavaScript challenge at you, running tests in an interstitial page. If you're borderline, they escalate to a managed challenge. You know, that little turnstile widget that checks your browser. If your IP is known to be malicious, they skip the tests and just hard block you. Keep in mind, Cloudflare sees about 20% of all internet traffic. That gives them insanely accurate IP reputation profiles to work with.
This brings us back to a vital point about how we respond to these systems: detection-aware retry logic. Listen, a network retry is not the same as a CAPTCHA retry. If you hit a CAPTCHA because your request rate is too high and your response is to just immediately hit it again, you're literally just making the problem worse. Your next attempt has to change something meaningful. Add backoff time. Slow down the rate. Check your session continuity. If you don't rotate your strategy, you're just banging your head against a locked door over and over.
Section 5, Reality Check, CAPTCHA FAQs, Dismantling Common Automation Myths. All right, let's tackle the ultimate question everyone asks when they start scaling web scraping. Can stealth techniques avoid every single CAPTCHA? People plug in custom headers, they use stealth libraries, and they think they've found the holy grail to never see a challenge again.
Well, here's the honest reality check. At a small scale, yes, they might reduce the triggers. But at a larger scale, CAPTCHA events are absolutely inevitable. There's just no way around it. If you build a system that only relies on prevention and ignores handling, your operational costs are going to skyrocket and your reliability is going to tank the second you crank up the volume. You have to plan for both.
Here's another one. Why do residential proxies still trigger CAPTCHAs? You see developers spending a premium on pristine, high-quality residential IP addresses, and then they're totally shocked when their scrapers still gets blocked. Why does this keep happening?
It happens because IP quality is literally just one signal out of dozens. A great residential IP cannot hide a fundamentally weak workflow. If you're hammering the server with requests, missing your cookies, using default headers, and your browser fingerprint is rigid, that expensive IP is not going to save you from triggering an alarm.
So, the crucial point is we have to rethink our metrics. Don't just celebrate because your solver bypassed a CAPTCHA. The most important metrics are your solve to acceptance rate and your cost per completed workflow. Think about it. A solved CAPTCHA is completely useless if your workflow ultimately fails to reach its intended result and extract the data you actually needed.
We're going to wrap up this explainer with one core idea. CAPTCHA detection is not a random punishment. It is direct feedback. It is telling you exactly what your scaling limits are and how your session quality looks to the outside world. So before you blindly crank up the volume on your next scraping workflow, ask yourself this: what are your traffic patterns trying to tell you? Take the time to monitor your diagnostic signals, adjust your approach, and build smarter automation. Thanks so much for learning with me today.